I am here with my friend and coworker, Courtney Koenig, and we're in a series called Choose Your Hard, and we're going to talk to Courtney about one of the things in her life that probably wouldn't have changed without Jesus. And so why don't you tell us just a little bit of background about yourself?
Well, I tell a lot of people that I was the country club queen who got moved to the country. So the first 20 years of my life, I have wonderful folks, and I have one younger sister, and we lived part of the time in Texas, part of the time in Kansas. And I, for most intensive purposes, was a pretty well-to-do private school kid. Got to participate in all the golf and the tennis and the things that come with that kind of lifestyle. And I love my family, and I had a really great childhood. I met my husband at Kanakuk, which is a Christian sports camp right outside of Branson. And I can remember we always laugh about how somebody had said when I was there were all these other college guys there working, and, none of them really had a clue what they wanted to do. And somebody said, "Oh, that guy over there, yeah, he's got like 3 jobs." And I was like, "Hey, hello." Come to find out, he's a homeschool kid from Oklahoma. And I used to drive up and down Interstate 35 and swear I would never live in Oklahoma, but we all know what happens when you say never.
Yes, God has different plans.
So anyway, we met, and it was a quick, I was pretty sure he jokes about how I said, "God told me that summer that you were the one." And he always jokes and says, "Well, honey, God told a lot of girls that summer I was the one." So all that to say, I'm married to Seth Koenig, for those of you who don't know, and he is still one of the best men that I have ever met in my life. He is an amazing man, husband, and dad. However, we are very different. We were raised differently. We are wired quite differently. However, we are both very intense in our own respects. So you can imagine that probably was going to make for some intensive conflict, which neither one of us had a clue how to handle at 22 and 25.
So now we're scratching the surface of your hard. So in a sentence, what was your hard? What is your hard?
I think I walked into marriage believing a lot of the lie of culture that this was supposed to make me happy. Mm-hmm. And I was not happy often, and I expected him to make me happy.
Okay.
And when I did not feel that way, I tended to aggress, and he would retreat, and he didn't want to, he was more conflict avoidant, and I was definitely a conflict aggressor. Surprise, surprise. Which did not work well. They were really, really unhealthy conflict cycles, and we didn't really have any older couples around us. Mm-hmm. We were kind of the first of our friends to get married, so we really didn't have anybody to watch or to go, "Hey, are you dealing with this?
Yeah, help.
Yeah, is this supposed to be like this?" So
that you get these markers, I will call them, early on. Honeymoon had a fight, but it progresses. Tell me how bad it got for you from your perspective.
Well, it got pretty bad multiple times. It was, I would say, rocky at the beginning in a lot of normal ways for couples before kids. Where you just have unrealistic expectations of each other. And when those aren't met, you're frustrated, and you just tend to react in the only way you know how, which often is not helpful or healthy. So, in those moments when things are rough, like every brilliant person, you decide, we can fix this by having a baby. So we got pregnant with Liam, and I had him in 2009. And again, I didn't really have anything to compare it to. So after I had him, I had really bad postpartum depression. And I didn't know to call it that. I didn't realize
You know what you were going through.
Yeah, and neither did he. And he didn't really know how to help me. And like most guys who love and want to help their wife, if they don't know how, they're kind of like, I don't know what to do here. And I felt super frustrated and abandoned. And Liam was not the easiest baby right out of the gate. And I was just not healthy. I was not mentally healthy. I was struggling emotionally, and I would get extremely angry, just at life, at my son, at Seth, when things were hard, because I just didn't know how to cope well.
Your default emotion was anger.
Right. And the hard part was I really didn't realize how much damage that was doing in my marriage and with my son. So we got to a place where it was sometime in September or maybe late August. The kids are still little. And he had taken me to go to the Civic Center to see Hamilton. And that night, it all kind of came apart.
On date night.
On date night. It went from, oh, I'm so glad, to, oh my goodness, like, I hope no one ever sees this part of my life. So after the show was over, he had made some comment because I had said something about how, like I really wanted to do that, and I could have, because I had wanted at some point to pursue, right, like many
Broadway.
20-year-old girls wanting to be on Broadway. And I'd chosen to have a family.
Unrealized dreams.
Yeah, unrealized dreams. And he had made a comment that wasn't terribly supportive, and I lost it. I lost it. Driving down the road, I'm so thankful we are not in like a really small neighborhood. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Someone would have called the cops. It was ugly. Horrible words exchanged, screaming, getting out of the car, trying to walk home in the dark. Just about as bad as it can get, just shy of getting horribly physical.
Okay.
So at that point, I was done. It was bad enough for both of us. I packed up, and early that next morning, without telling anybody, I drove to my sister's in Kansas City, and I left. I could not stand to be anywhere around anymore. That was the moment that I knew I had to choose my hard.
Hey, I can't wait for you to hear the rest of this story. You need to be in worship this week, right? Wednesday, 4 opportunities on Sunday. Through the whole series, you're going to get the chance to hear these stories, and not only hear them, but hear how Jesus changed their stories.